It's 5 o'clock.
Hey.
Thank goodness. Hey, guess what that means? It means it's time for us to play another adventure of the Wing Badger Tavern. We're back. We're playing a game. I'm turning on the music. I'm definitely not just stalling right now. Welcome back to the Wing Badger Tavern, where friends tell stories. I'm Josh, your Wing Badger Game Master. I'm joined by some of my friends. Friends, introduce yourselves. Let's start right here.
Hello, I am Trevor. I am playing Astro Adon, the lucky explorer who works for a living.
How's it going? I'm T-Sav. I play Ronan Voss, who is a tongue-tied explorer who sailed beneath the Jolly Roger.
Hello, I'm Cleo, playing JAQLINE, the AI who is naive.
There we go.
And likes to entertain.
Wonderful.
Mike, I love you hyping Jackie up during that experience. That was huge. That was huge right there.
Yeah. I'm Mike. Hi. I play Mark Putty, a clumsy adept who talks to the system.
And I'm Josh, the Wing Badger Game Master, dressed as Captain Chet Gamma, but I'll also be playing everybody else.
How's he do that? He only looks like one guy.
The energy shifts a lot between episodes. And sometimes you can tell that a bunch of us just had caffeine in between the last game and this one. Sometimes it shows. This is one of those times.
I had a big nap.
Caffeine.
Trevor, why don't you give the people a recap of the last session we playlayed?
Okay.
If you miss a single detail, we will know.
Yeah, we will. So we start the session with Kyle appearing at Mark's room at an ungodly hour of 1 a.m. And they had a nice little heart-to-heart where he apologized, and they started to hash things out and you know, on the mends.
And shared curry.
Yes.
Against JAQLINE's explicit instructions to not eat curry at 2 a.m.
got muted.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I forgot about that bar.
Go on.
We then jump to Astro, who is helping, Sam with the ship repairs.
Sam Nova, that would be.
Sam Nova, yes. They're fabricationist, and they work together to get the pieces fabricated, and then they are part of the team to go out in, EVA suits?
EVA. Extravehicular activity. EVA.
I like Eva.
EVA, yeah. EVA suits to do the hull repairs, where Astro just was fumbling around because he kept getting tangled in his lifeline connected to the ship.
Nice.
But he eventually got to welding, and they got some of the welds done before he made a mistake and cracked his visor and had an emergency to return to the ship before he died. And luckily he did. But that was a pretty scary, intense moment. And on the other group, we had Mark and JAQLINE hop on a... what's the word?
Dropship?
Bicycle.
Dropship to go look for more raw materials, and they found an asteroid with ice on it, and they extracted some ice.
With Ren Silvers, Adelaide MacArthur, and Saren Peters.
Yeah. And they did that successfully.
We did it.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
You found some water so far.
Yeah.
We're probably not finished.
No.
And you got to see the vista of space.
Yeah, I was pretty blown away for quite some time.
I think we may have actually impressed real Mike at that. When
the
graphics
music,
came up.
I really was trying to avoid it. I didn't expect the visual to be so beautiful, and the music, I was genuinely entranced for a while. I couldn't take my eyes off it.
No.
I couldn't ask for a better compliment.
Yeah, you do okay.
Yeah. I'm like a 7.
Don't start slacking.
I mean, that's a little gracious, you know.
I'm like a 3.
There we go.
All right, JAQLINE, how'd I do?
You have failed.
Oh my god.
Well, you know what? Even if JAQLINE says you failed, I think you get 2 XP for delivering an exceptional recap. And maybe this will incentivize players to do more recaps in the future if they're worth XP.
You forgot about the spider.
I'm sorry, I
The
did.
spider?
There was a spider on the table that I was enthralled
It was a
by.
fly.
You mean a fly?
No. a spider. I killed the spider. Sorry, I killed the fly, and then I've tried to feed it to the spider.
You never mentioned the spider. How are we to know?
Yeah, we never knew about.
You can't read my mind.
No, we
Humans can't read
of all
my
the
mind?
minds we could possibly read. Yours is perhaps the most unlikely for us to be able to read.
Oh yeah. By the way, there's a spider somewhere on the table. So.
Okay.
Awesome.
Did you give it the fly?
Yeah, it didn't take the fly yet.
From the person who brought to us that famous quote, "Second of all, I have no other point." I'm not sure that we could ever truly read your mind. But suffice it to say, we had some things happen. We set up some tension. We had some peaceful moments. We resolved a little tension with Kyle. So I'm not sure where Mike was taking that there was like a little awkward, like, is this a meet cute or are we apologizing to each other moment there that was just kind of chilling happening at the table. We still don't know what the answer is. We haven't gone back to that little dynamic between those two guys. But
We'll never know.
for right now, we need to decide where to pick up this adventure. So players, I'd like your input. There is something significant happening for all of you. So we could jump back in with the dropship that is exploring the asteroids as Jackie looks for maybe a more valuable material than water. You know, now you've played with the sensor. Now it's time to get down to business and find what the ship really needs. We could pick up with Ronan Voss, who is taking over welding on the hull of the ship. So that's a spacewalk. He's going to be out there with the engineering team doing some repairs and some welding of hull armor. Or we could pick up with Astro Adon, who unfortunately is headed for an incident hearing with Dean Lagrange after there was an EVA incident that needs investigating. Players, where would we like to begin?
I vote
this
not
adventure?
me first.
Oh, dang. I was about to say, I want to see Astros.
Everyone else wanted that.
Everybody
Honestly,
wants to know what
Let's go back. I want to go back to Mark and
right.
Jackie's situation.
All right.
I think that
Okay.
Cool. We're heading back to the dropship.
I'll give you a chance.
Prepare for your meeting.
You're up next. I'm fine being second.
The dropship internally is essentially like one large conference room. So there are seats that are bolted to the walls of the dropship that each have like jump harnesses in them in case there was some kind of like turbulence or dangerous landing, especially in atmosphere. Right now, obviously, none of those are necessary. We're in a zero gravity environment. There's not really any kind of danger to the ship other than the asteroids. And you don't have to concern yourselves with that because at the front of the ship, sitting in the pilot's chair, which is basically just centered in front of the 5 panels of glass that make up the front viewport, is Saren Peters, who is the Spirit of Inquiry's helmswoman. She's very experienced in her craft, knows a lot about what she's doing, completely confident as a pilot, and was well rested when we started. There are no concerns about the safety of the vessel. To either side of her, there is some floor space where I think we probably see Ren Silvers and Mark Putty kind of just gawping out at the distance. Ren is excited because he's looking for other fun asteroids to mine. He's now gotten a taste of like getting out there in space and, you know, doing some drilling and whatever. And so he's like hyped to get to the next one. Adelaide MacArthur is sitting behind Mark Putty, interacting with Jackie because Mark has gotten completely distracted by like the vista out in front of him. And so Adelaide is actually the one who was reviewing the sensor readouts with Jackie for the first asteroid. We'll see if Mark zooms back in or not for the next one. And then we also have JAQLINE, who is kind of jacked into the ship at the moment. You're right? Isn't that what we
Is it
decided?
my suit?
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Jackie is connected to Mark Putty's suit, which means that Mark has to interact with the machines. Like Jackie can view the data, but Jackie can't actually access the network of the ship yet. You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm just imagining Mark is just zoned out and he has a little USB from his suit to the...
It's like a printer cable, like a really fat one at the end that's like plugged in. So that's kind of how everything is standing in the ship here. We're moving deeper into the field of asteroids. So this first one, it's almost like a field in front of you, and JAQLINE was just like, which one looks the most like the ones I ran simulations on? And then you scanned that one because you kind of knew what you were doing. Now we're getting deeper into the asteroids, and you have Adelaide and sitting next to you. She's got her comlink open, and she's talking to Sam Nova. From the Spirit of Inquiry. Now, the reception's not awesome because it's just a one beam line of sight from the Spirit of Inquiry and you're in an asteroid field, but they're just kind of going back and forth on like what materials we need, and you're kind of overhearing, so it doesn't really matter if it's being relayed to you by Adelaide or whether you're just hearing Sam Nova say it, but you pick up that like the biggest thing we need right now is helium-3 to refuel the ship's engines. And then we're also looking for rare earth elements that we can use to fix some sensors and some electronic components. So that would be like more like neodymium, lithium, that kind of stuff. So those are the two like most important things. And then there is a general need for any kind of like iron, nickel, titanium, like, you know, hard metals that we can use for hull repairs, just because we've depleted our supply in this current repair. We're not expecting to go through another traumatic event, but it's nice to have them on hand in case we do. Yeah. So those are the two things we're looking for, or the three things I should say. They are three different difficulties. It's easiest to find hard metals. It's hardest to find rare earth elements, and then helium-3 is in the middle. So what would you like to go looking for? Or alternatively, you can roll the search and we'll do it on a sliding scale.
How are we on, I guess, like, reserves of helium-3?
The ship has enough for, like, a little bit of maneuvering, but it's like, it's a consumable resource. You know what I mean? So it's
right.
like... The ion thrusters, which are the ones you use to navigate in system when you're not moving from one planet to another planet, but it's just like maneuvering through asteroid fields or orbit, you know, maintaining an orbit, that kind of stuff. Those are what run on helium-3. Your main reactors are nuclear, so it's not, you don't really have to worry about exhausting the materials for those. They can run for a long, long time before you need more uranium. But
okay, that's interesting.
So you've got 4 nuclear reactors that power your main thrusters.
Right.
You've got 2 ion navigating engines, and you have 4 stabilizing thrusters.
I think JAQLINE would probably start with looking for, let's go with the hardest first.
Okay.
The rare, minerals.
Okay.
I will say, I like that you used helium-3. It also could be used in fusion reactors, but I don't think we ever found fusion technology, or have we? I don't know.
We may have.
But I just like that. Anyway.
Cool.
Sorry.
Well then, in that case, this is the rarest element. It is a difficulty 8 task. Now, Adelaide is helping you interpret the data you're seeing, so that will ease your search by 1. So it's a difficulty 7 because you have Adelaide's help.
All right. Let's see.
Would I be able to assist at all? I'm looking at, I've got an ability called Tinker that allows me to adjust. You make a device do something different from its original purpose. And I'm wondering if I can do that to like help it scan a more general area rather than having to like pinpoint individual kind of asteroids to at least get us a better sense of what direction to head towards.
I like the way you're thinking, but I do think that scanning for the materials would still count as the original purpose of the sensor array. But I think you could assist if you had some kind of like, I'm going to interact with the computer, like, training in utilizing shipboard equipment or piloting or something, something like that I think could be relevant if you've got a skill there. Or you could spend an XP and you could have some limited use ability, like the fact that you ran simulations with Jackie all morning. Maybe you retained something that you wouldn't normally know, and right now it's helpful to ease this roll, but it wouldn't always be.
All right. I will spend a round, as it seems to be the only cost, for sensor calibration.
Mm-hmm. You don't need to do sensor calibration again. You calibrated when you first got out here.
Oh, does it last for a while?
It's permanent.
Oh.
So sensor calibration is about different environments, not about specific skill checks. Like if you are suddenly finding yourself in a dark room, you could calibrate the camera on your Cortex to the dark, and then I would stop hindering you because you were in the dark. You did it right at the beginning, so I didn't have to do any hindering or anything for here. Okay. But it's basically like, oh, this is a new kind of environment. I'm not used to looking, hearing, seeing in this space. I need to calibrate.
Gotcha. All right. Well, with that in mind, I'll also do anticipation.
Okay.
That uses up a single intellect point. And I think I'm probably going to search for the smaller debris fields of rocks.
Sure.
And that gains an asset. So what was the difficulty?
It's an 8 that's east to 7 by Adelaide, and then whatever you change.
Okay.
And if Mark's going to jump in, then he can ease it.
Can I just like assist with the whole thing? Like I clearly know the systems, at least like with the nat 20 that I had earlier in the last session.
Yeah.
And so just helping guide through this whole process and like just look for any
Absolutely.
maybe like even tinier
Maybe,
fluctuations
like, just-
that might not be normally flagged.
Maybe what's happening is Mark is actually coaching Jackie more than, so it's not that you're helping with the spectroscope as much as it is that you're like coaching her through like, well, when you access a function this way, you get a better readout of data, or you know what I mean? Like it's like general data sphere knowledge that you're kind of
Mark.
picking up.
That sounds great to me.
So that seems like it might be relevant to someone's character development.
Does that assist in a pupil's strengths and weaknesses to get an idea of what they need to learn?
Yeah, maybe I would say definitely you've been assessing JAQLINE's strengths and weaknesses.
Could you say I found a teacher?
I could certainly say you found a teacher. So those are some
Sorry.
2 XP gains for you two.
I was just
Anyway, so go ahead and make
all right,
your rolls.
down
We're
to a
eased to
6.
6.
I'm going to ease it again with the anticipation down to a 5.
Great.
I'm going to use the level of effort down to a 4.
Okay. Target
And
roll of
that's
12.
going to be not good enough. I got a 7.
You scan an area of space, but it's space. You can't expect to hit something every time you scan space.
Oh, and I got to roll my D10, right?
Yes, and you need to roll your D10.
Cocked. Floor.
Gone.
Bye.
Do you want me to roll your D10?
Sure.
You sure you trust me to roll your D10?
Give it to me.
Don't drop this one on the floor. It's stone.
I rolled an 8.
You rolled an 8. That is not a 1, so you do not break the machine.
Thank you.
I guess maybe in the future, let's make Mark roll the depletion die because he's the one who's actually using it and you're telling him what you want him to do. So in the future, we'll have him roll it.
Okay.
But anyway, so that's you successfully scan an area, but you don't find anything. Is there anything that you can just keep rolling, or you can keep playing out the scene and interacting with people as you search, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
I didn't find anything right away. I will now check quadrant 2.
Yeah, let's just keep on going. We got time.
That's a 10.
Oh, good.
Did not deplete, but you were supposed to roll that.
That's okay.
And then I will roll. I won't use the level of effort this time or anticipation. So that's a difficulty 6. I have to use a level of effort. Difficulty 5 this time.
okay,
Holy smokes.
That's a no.
I'm going to threaten you with a GM intrusion. I'm not going to tell you what it is until you decide if you're going to take it or leave it.
So cruel.
I'll take it because I'm
You're
a
going to
little
find this is
XP
going to
Goblin.
become the norm. I prefer them being a surprise.
A little XP Goblin.
A little XP Goblin.
Yeah.
You get 2 XP. You may give 1 away.
I'll give one to Mark.
Okay, and the experience that gives you those points is that as you are scanning different areas of the asteroids and stuff, you get it's almost like an empty space in the readout. So like when you scan anywhere, you should get something back, right? There should be some concentration of
Gas.
different elements that you can then look at and interpret as, okay, well, that's just dirt, that's volcanic ash, that's this, that's that. But you find a section where there's literally nothing. It's like a small, fist or baseball-sized concentration of nothing.
Anomaly detected.
Ooh, an anomaly. And, Adelaide MacArthur is all in. What we got?
It appears that there is, as you humans like to refer to with your weird measurement systems, a fist-sized area of absolutely nothing.
Interesting, but how many school buses is it?
I would say probably 1/1000th of a school bus.
All right, let's... Oh, wait, that's Kiya's voice. I can't do the Scottish voice without my practice
Oh,
sentence.
do your thing, yeah.
Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Excellent, we're back. Welcome to the Scottish Highlands.
Please don't kill us.
She begins kind of typing away and looking for the next piece of the puzzle here. She doesn't find it. Saren, can you take us in a bit closer? And the ship kind of very slowly kind of nudges in towards this like dead space on the sensors, and as one of the asteroids that might have been blocking that place from your field of view kind of moves, you see your interpretation of what you see is that it is a small greenish cluster of like stones that are like forced together. You see a small reddish cluster of stones forced together. So, and at the same time as you're both noticing that thing, Saren goes, "That's so weird. They're like purple."
Anomaly detected. Are you okay? You appear to have described the anomaly as purple, and I believe we might need a medical officer to ascertain, because I have detected that it is showing the light frequencies attributed to green.
JAQLINE, I think you need to recalibrate. It's obviously purple. And Adelaide leans in and goes, Helmswoman, that's pink.
It's red, though.
What?
Right?
Recalibrate.
Did I see red or did I see blue?
Pink.
Red?
I have
Ren, what do you see?
recalibrated.
Ren walks over and goes, green.
We have one person in good health on board.
Helmswoman, what do we think we've got here?
I'm gonna roll to see if I can't figure out what might cause. I'm thinking this is a medical problem, but I'm gonna roll anyway and see if I can't figure out what's causing this discrepancy.
Okay.
I'm just gonna roll base intellect, and I rolled an 18.
Nice. I mean, you are nothing if not a repository of data. You haven't had access to all of the ship's data, but Mark has been attempting to find fragments of JAQLINE to restore, into your system or something like that. And as you're kind of processing and digging through these archives and stuff, there are things that are half of a function, where Mark has found some leftover fragment of JAQLINE's code that can't be run, but there's enough of it in there that there's if this then that statements where you might be oh, okay, wait, I have a piece of that, and you're kind of looking through these different functions trying to piece together what you see. You don't get an answer on what the material is in front of you, but you find proof that somewhere in JAQLINE's archives, old JAQLINE's archives, there was a material known that appears different to everyone who looks at it. That its visible color is different to everyone who looks at it. You find also underneath it, there's a second bullet point that's marked as a warning, but the warning is corrupted, related to whatever the element is, some kind of safety hazard that it poses.
Ding! Knowledge ascertained. This is a potentially dangerous object.
Dangerous how?
I do not know.
What do you mean you don't know? Ren looks over at you. He's kind of playing with that rock thing on his necklace.
Well,
what?
Following the data that I have upon my cortex, I have ascertained that my previous model knew something about this, but the data appears corrupted. All I know is that there was a flag for it to be a caution or warning. And I must assume, following safety procedures, that must mean it is potentially deadly. But as I have learned on this trip, safety procedures were meant to be ignored. So I say we go collect a sample so I can ascertain what exactly it may be.
Even as you're saying that, Saren Peters is backing off the shit forward thrust, so that it reverses, slows down and reverses. I'm going to overrule that one, JAQLINE. I think Mark may have some extra work to do with you here regarding protocol.
I'll talk about that.
Aboard a vessel of this magnitude.
That's not quite. I thought we clarified that. There's
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought when we zipped in Ren with the bridge that was against safety procedures, but that was okay.
But Ren, do you know anything? You know about rocks, right?
Not like this.
What do you mean not like this?
I mean, I've never seen a rock like this.
DM,
Yeah.
do I have anything in my knowledge base about what cosmetaline would look like?
You have a corrupted archive of what cosmetaline might look like. Might take some more digging to figure out if this is that.
I'm gonna do some thinking.
The little hologram does
Yeah,
that.
the holographic bunny. It's his little paw.
I didn't think very hard.
You look through your archives, the information simply isn't there. You're a very limited access JAQLINE when it comes to the data that would have been preloaded into the ship. There's all kinds of classifications and firewalls and protections even before we get to the fact that JAQLINE was ripped apart and fragmented, and code snippets are all over the ship, left over in different functions and nodes, and you don't know.
Well,
You might have found, maybe you found some kind of index file of yes, there was a cosmetaline record present, but you don't
It
have
goes
fire.
nowhere.
Yeah, it's a pointer with nothing at the other end.
Can we access any things on the ship?
From here? Mark
With some
Putty,
sort of
who is
link?
trained or is practiced in moving from datasphere node to datasphere node,
Yeah.
could certainly try over this single band communication to start infiltrating the ship's node and see what he can find. JAQLINE cannot unless you plug her into the system, right? She's not in the datasphere at the moment.
I will say I will have to do a full analysis, but I do not find anything in my records that would reflect this. All I can know is that either we're all suffering, me and one other person are not, but the rest of you are suffering some medical condition causing you to view light differently, or this is an object that is different upon whoever observes it.
Interesting. Can I try and navigate through the data spheres by chance?
You certainly
If
can.
I can
Are you
try.
going to make it obvious to the other members of the ship what you're doing?
Is it frowned upon?
I don't know that anyone on this ship would care, but we don't know until you do it and we find out how they behave. You did just hear Saren call someone out for ignoring protocol, the Helmswoman, but she's helming,
I'm just gonna go on my data bed and say I'm gonna see what I can find out. I might have something stored here that can help.
Adelaide doesn't even acknowledge you. She's like furiously typing and going through her own records on like another screen. She probably has like her own little personal data pad like you do, but she's like connected it into the wall of the dropship. So like one of the big viewports, instead of letting you see out into space, has been replaced as like her desktop.
Yeah.
And so she's like working off of that at the moment. You sit down at the like conference table in the middle of the dropship and you begin accessing the data sphere. Now, the first thing you're going to do is come in at the communications node. Navigating the data sphere. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Right?
You good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So you come in at the communications node. You can search anywhere, but remember to move from one node to another node. There is a chance that you'll have to encounter some countermeasures, right? There might be firewalls, there might be all kinds of things. You also might realize that you've set off some kind of passive protections, like logging of your presence or whatever. As you enter the communications node, you find that you are not the only user accessing the communications node. The first thing you see is just a readout of everyone who's in there, and you realize that the ship's communication officer, Finnegan Alsdale, and the ship's navigation officer, Adrian Wu, are both accessing the communications node at this time. You realize that they are trying to establish a link to the satellites that JAQLINE dropped off during your Cosmeridium jump. The reason they have not yet is because the sensor array is damaged and Ronan is out there trying to repair it, but it hasn't been done yet. So it's essentially like every 10 to 20 minutes they come over and run the function again, because it's like without the communication system, they don't know what Ronan's progress is. So they're just kind of waiting for that to get done. So that's what they're doing. They don't seem to notice you, or at least they don't acknowledge that you're in the system. So from here, where would you like to go?
I think, there's the spectral analysis, but I don't know, would using that help? We've also got the research information systems. Which one of those would have more relevance?
Don't ask me, you're going to have to go look.
Both are one jump away and next to each other.
Personnel vitals monitoring, music playback controls, primary data storage. Research databases. Yeah, go to the research information systems.
Excellent. The research information systems are protected by a firewall. So as you attempt to access them, you find that there is some code in your way. It is a countermeasure of level 4 that you will need to navigate your way past, which is essentially you are intelligence attacking an object.
I am practiced in Datasphere.
That allows you to do this. It doesn't ease it.
Okay, that's great. I remember that, of course.
Yeah, you would know that.
I would know that, and I do. I've got tech savvy. You are trained in exploiting computer technology. Practice in Datasphere. I also have hack the impossible.
Well, that's a cool one.
What
That's
does
a cool
that
one.
do?
Disable or bypass countermeasures.
There you
Your
go.
tier
Your
lower.
tier or lower.
No.
Only
Your
tier
tier 1.
But for countermeasures above your tier, roll is used by 2 steps.
It
There you
helps
go.
to read. further than when I think I need to give up.
Between you and JAQLINE, so JAQLINE's language functions have not been working right. She keeps saying, and you're not reading. So between the two of you, you're like one cipher system player.
Yeah.
Person. That's good. Can I do am I hack the impossible to try and get through this?
You certainly can. You've eased it to a difficulty 2 by hacking the impossible.
Okay.
Which is a target roll of 6.
Okay.
That's doable.
That's certainly achievable.
Target roll 6. Just for safety, I'm going to put a little bit of effort into that
There we
as
go.
well.
We love that.
We're just going to...
We love that for you.
That uses
Right.
5 points.
Yes. You think I don't know something about this? My God.
I'm sorry.
All right, I got this on lock. Please don't be a 3. Nat 20, baby.
Nat 20!
Yeah, let's
And you get the
go.
points back.
Yeah, you get any points you spent back when you roll a nat 20, as well as any XP you spent, but you didn't on this. Actually, that might be wrong. We'll check later. But you get your points you spent from your pools back.
Wonderful.
You're like, yes, my natural environment. You like turn away from the vista of space to a tiny little cramped screen of data, and you're
Feels so
like, I'm
good.
home.
The white light on my eyes, the blue light.
Everyone in the ship watches as Mark slumps back into shrimp form, and then suddenly just like you're in. You not only make it past this countermeasure, but you put it back up behind you in such a way that like nobody would realize it has been accessed or modified. You clear out the logs, you make sure that there's no other, and you do find that in the research department there is also a passive protection that just logs any user who's here to access records. It's just a way of tracking who messed with data, who's uploaded reports. It's not like a sinister thing, but you make sure you're not in there either because, just to be while you're snooping. So there's no record at all of your presence in the logs of the ship in this node. Mark, Putty, going to work here. There are now the list of functions in this node you had on your map there.
Yeah.
Which function are you wanting to access?
I would think research databases.
Excellent. You access the research databases. There are terabytes on terabytes of data in the ship's databases. And it's all just kind of cataloged in front of you. In order to find what you're looking for, I'd like you to roll an intellect task.
Just flat.
You got this.
The better you roll, the faster you find it. You're going to find it no matter what.
10.
Okay,
Flat.
so it takes a little while. So while you're looking through records and Adelaide is looking through stuff, Saren is like, I'm going to take the ship not near this, but I'm going to make, she like kind of logs a little coordinate point of where this weird thing was, and then she's going to sort of pull away from it, just like to a safe distance. She won't leave, but, pull the ship back a little bit. And as she does that, we're going to cut from here to the Spirit of Inquiry. We're going to jump in with Ronan Voss. Ronan, you are suiting up. You're in the airlock.
Oh, yeah.
And next to you is Dr. Zara Lowe, the ship's chief engineer. And beside her is Kyle Smith, the ship's ensign engineer. Sam Novo was, for some reason, not particularly willing to go back out on the spacewalk again, and so you got Kyle, the other engineer, who is someone who's very versed in. So now it's a team of 3 people who are versed in spacewalk, and after much cajoling, Sam did agree to be the observer for this spacewalk. So Sam is sitting at the data readout, just kind of watching to make sure that all of your suits are operating normally, and you are about to head out into space. Would you like a tethered suit, or would you like an untethered suit?
Untethered.
Untethered. Feels like home. Ronan, you suit up. Your suit has 6 hours of air in it. So that should be plenty for you to do, a couple rounds of repairs and then come back into the ship. It's already afternoon alpha time, so you're not expecting this to be an all-day, excursion. You've probably, whatever's happening for dinner is you've probably picked something that can I'll just leave the slow cooker on or, whatever. So it's just kind of happening passively, but you'll still have to get there to serve it. So this should be, relatively an easy spacewalk, like a slower, kind of deal. And we're going to start with repairing the section of hull near the dropship so that we can get those anchors or those robot arms on there that anchor the dropship. The goal is for the engineering team to have these done before the dropship returns from mining. So this is like a today goal. And there are 4 pieces, 2 hull plates and 2 robot arms that need to be attached. Okay. So
Quick 20-minute adventure, in and out.
it probably won't be 20 minutes, but it is supposed to be straightforward. All of the parts have been fabricated complicated. Sam has been working with JB, the ship's robotics engineer, to make sure the robot arms are going to be properly manufactured and operated and all those things. What? Is everything okay? Oh, okay. Sorry, everyone was looking past me, and I was like, "Did something break?"
Oh, we can all notice when there's a new scene on the screen that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, we're just.
Oh, this is the perfect scene, actually. This is the side of the ship where you'll be. And you can see up at the end of that layout where the hangar is.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's just past that white piece that's sticking out. That white thing is the research deck.
Okay.
So the research deck kind of juts out the top of the ship and then extends to either side. And then in front of and beneath it, there is an open stretch of hull where it's enclosed above and below, but not left and right. And it's just like
That's where the robot arms are and the hull pieces? Are they
That's
all
where the
right there?
dropship goes, is in that empty space. The section above it, the roof of that spot, is where the damage is.
I see.
So you're going to anchor the robot arms to that, and then when the dropship returns, the arms place it inside of this opening. So the arms clamped from the left and right.
I see.
And then the airlock is in there, like, in that sort of enclosed box.
Perfect.
So you need to navigate yourself out there first, which, as you're kind of getting ready to go here, the airlock door seals behind you. And you emerge into the void of space. You get that same kind of weightless feeling. It doesn't feel like nausea to you. It doesn't feel like vertigo to you. To you, it just feels like almost like a lightning. Like you have your sea legs, so to speak, under you. You're so used to being in void space that when you step up into this environment, between the fact that your suit is untethered and the fact that you're super used to this kind of experience, there is no hindrance to you to navigate in your suit. Now, maybe using some of the tools if you're less trained in them, but just maneuvering the ship is pretty straightforward. You've even honestly crawled along the outside of some ships before. That's something you're pretty experienced in as well. So what I'd like you to do is roll me a difficulty 5 speed or might task to maneuver yourself along the length of the Spirit of Inquiry with the engineering team kind of at your back.
I'm gonna I'm gonna do this now because it'll last the whole time. Actually, let's do it. I'm gonna go ahead and activate Muscles of Iron then.
There you go.
Okay.
So take away 2 from that.
As the adrenaline kind of kicks in of like that feeling of being back outside of a ship and having, the EVA suit back on, you feel, I bet it started when you heard that click and the inside of the suit pressurized, that like...
I think what was going through Ronan's head the last time he stepped through an airlock kind of went back, and it was a very quick flashback, but the last time he stepped through an airlock, he was more armed to the teeth and had a one mission in mind.
This time all he's got is a tack welder.
I think him walking out into space and looking down at the tack welder kind of shook him back to where he was at, realizing, okay, this isn't the same. We're here for a different objective. Relax. Yeah. But he's very easily calmed. Like if he does get if he gets a little bit anxious, like he can really calm himself down pretty easily. He's been able to do that under stressful situations. But I also want to say I do also have with this might task, I have an edge of 1 as well. Okay. So I'm going to throw that in there too.
So that's when you use effort. So if you use effort, edge is subtracting off the amount you'd have to spend to use that effort.
Okay.
So your first level of effort always costs 3 points. So if you have an edge in that, it would then only cost 2 points. And then every additional level of effort always costs 2 points anyway.
Right. Okay. So what was the level? What's the level test? Level 5, you said?
Level 5. Speed or might. You chose might because you're using Muscles of Iron.
You use Muscles of Iron.
So that's a speed 4 or a might 4 now because of Muscles of Iron.
And then I will. I'm just going to go ahead and do that then.
No, okay. Target roll of 12.
We're going to do it under here. 12.
12. That's a success.
Yeah, let's go.
It takes you a little while, but you pretty easily get yourself where you're going. There's no challenge. It's just, you're being careful. It's a different ship. You haven't navigated the outside as much or ever. This one, you weren't really expected to be doing any spacewalking. And beside you, very confidently, is Kyle Smith and Zara Lowe. They both know their way around this stuff too. They are both tethered, but they're still, moving quite confidently and competently. You get where you're going. It's all, hand signals, but Kyle kind of motions to you that he's going to get the hull in place. And he does. He kind of anchors it in front of you, and he does a pretty decent job with that. And then I need you to make, you can choose whether you want to use speed, because it's the dexterity, or whether you want to use intellect because you're operating a tool that you don't know how to operate as much. So there's a little bit of a mental challenge in there. You can choose which of those two things you want to use for this.
What would what is the level task? Or you have to choose first?
I want to know what you're going to use first.
Crap.
Ooh.
Sorry.
I haven't really had time to like do any recovery stuff, so I don't. wanna use
Remember,
You can always do the one action.
one action
Yeah.
recovery, 10-minute reaction, 10-minute one, then 1 hour. I feel like you get away with a one action and a 10-minute one if you needed to.
I might
10-minute one.
I
would
might
be
just
over.
do like a one action, right?
Recovery.
Yeah. Just for time
You're going to do that
being.
first?
Yeah, I'll do that first.
So Kyle gets this thing in place, and you're like, "Give me a minute." You kind of like center yourself almost as you do that.
Really quick.
I think what would be really cool is if we had like a stand about right here, because I think we could all reach right about right here. That's level with the top of our books, and like a little circle or hexagon, and we could just throw a dice into there.
I like it.
Get on that, Josh.
All right, so
I'll see if I can
four-
print us something like
Plus
that,
one,
some kind of
plus
cool like
one.
hollow
So like, I
projector
mean,
looking
if I
thing.
So
I've been wanting to
you
do
can add-
something with wood. I might be able to.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can
Make
distribute
something.
that as much as you want.
I'm gonna put literally like everything back into
Space wood. Well, I mean, I would
like
paint
here.
Yeah.
to be space wood colors.
It would look green to one of us, and it would look pink to another one of us, and then red to Mike,
Little do you know, I use chromatic paint so that way the angle.
like iridescent.
Yeah.
All right, so cool.
That's the word I was looking for.
All right, so I split up my points. I'm gonna go ahead and use this as an intellect task.
Talking to your mic though for me when you say it.
Intellect task. That's what we're
Excellent. We're going to do an intellect task. You're operating a tool. You're not unfamiliar with tools like this, but repairing hulls is maybe not your speed with such a tool. As you are getting to work here, I would like you to roll an intellect task with a difficulty of... I'm going to say it's a difficulty 4. It's a tool you don't know, but it's not a very you don't need a ton of precision. Maybe you do. Maybe it's a difficulty 5 because you want to make sure there's like no air gaps here. So it can't be a sloppy weld. This is a difficulty 5.
It's got a trigger, but no
right.
sights.
I'm gonna use some effort then for
Okay.
that one.
You can lose one level.
So
That's 3 points.
then okay, we're down to back to 3. That's good. I need to do that. Yeah. So then target of 4.
Target of 4. Gotta get that 12.
It was sat on the corner and then went, it's an 8. I'm sorry.
It's an 8.
No.
You attempt the weld, but you're unsuccessful. Just as you think you've finished, you're like, okay, I think that's good. And you give the thumbs up. Kyle lets go, and the plate like rips back off the hull. Like the leak is enough that the pressure wrenches it back off the hull, and it actually tears a slightly larger hole. Your plate should still cover it, but it the damage is continuing essentially.
Love it.
And it just as it tears backwards. Luckily, you're positioned right there with the welder, so when it comes loose, you're able to just like hold it in place with your hand.
Yeah.
But it is like it's not attached, and Kyle's gonna hold it down. You can retry a task, but you must use 1 level of effort as a minimum when you retry a task. So the next time you roll it, which actually I should have been making you do earlier, but I forgot.
don't
You're
think so.
lucky. You're lucky.
Thank you.
So
You're learning with us, Chad.
yeah. So it's a difficulty 5.
I don't think you can do that.
I mean, I technically can because I have.
If you can't do it, here's what I'll do. I'm going to hit you with a GM intrusion. The GM intrusion is that when you try the weld and it fails,
You're not supposed to tell us until we accept it, right?
I guess I was assuming he would accept, but you're right. Do you want to reject it?
I think there's one thing I can do.
But you got to
I don't know if I'm
reject
gonna.
it.
I don't know if I'm gonna risk that. I don't think I'm gonna risk that right now because
I already threatened you, so you got to choose whether you reject or don't reject
I'm
it.
not
I've
gonna reject
already
it.
threatened you.
No,
Yeah.
no, go ahead. Hit me with it. Hit me with it.
Okay.
I know where you live.
The thing rips off and you press it back down onto the hull. You look up and Kyle is like, hand me the welder.
Oh my god.
Oh. Ronan's gonna hand him the welder. Yep.
He takes the welder, and then you're just holding the plate down in place. And he's gonna take his time about it. He's gonna do his weld, and he's a high enough level that it's a successful weld. And then he goes, and hands off, and it holds, and everyone kind of waits for a second just to make sure that it holds, and then Zara does like a thumbs up to both of you and motions to the further down the hull of the ship, and then she also reaches over to Kyle, takes the welder and puts it back in your hand and is like let him practice, let him learn, and the maneuvering continues. Let's get another might roll for you to now what you need to do is get into a new position. You're like repositioning essentially, and it's the robot arm. The robot arm is a much bigger team effort because there's electronics in it that need to be hooked up too. So what I need right now is a might task. It would be difficulty 6, but it's eased by 2 because Kyle is helping you. So might roll 4. The two of you need to hold the arm in such a way that Zara can connect the electronics and like solder without it falling away or ripping any wires out, or like it's a you got to be really locked in there.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I mean, I would imagine muscles of iron is still active.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so he's at one more
3.
time. All right.
Target roll of 9.
Let's go, baby. Come on. It went really far, but it's a 13.
Yeah,
A 13, that's a success. The two of you hold that in place, and underneath of it, Dr. Zarlo works as quickly as she can while still being precise. But she gets all of the connections in place, and then she reaches out, holds up one finger from like underneath the arm to tell you to keep it in place, and she activates a switch, and it runs through like a test function, and so the arm like opens, and then it articulates every joint. And then it kind of like retracts into its smallest, most maneuverable position so that you can get it welded onto the wall of the ship. And Zara is actually inside the plating of the ship, and she's going to guide it into place and then come back out another EVA hatch. So she's on the inside, pulling the arm towards her. You and Kyle are kind of pressing it into place, and then it's time for the weld. So that's going to be another intellect task for you.
Oh my goodness.
Difficulty of 5.
Crap. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and do it, I guess. But what this does is it uses up.
Hey, I'm noticing your heart rate increasing, Sam Nova, coming over the connection line to your suit. I'm noticing your heart rate increasing. Everything all right out there?
Everything's fine. I think me messing up might have threw me off a little bit, but
well, just remember you're on stored air. You don't want to hyperventilate. You'll burn through it real fast.
Right. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with this, I mean, I'm gonna have to use a. I mean, what can I use? Like nothing? Is there a way like just go on about it?
You can just roll without using
I might
effort.
Have to. It's like I can't.
So it's just a target roll of 15.
Yeah, you have to roll 15 or higher.
All right. It's another 8 or 5. Oh.
It's not enough, and you begin the weld. You make some mistake, and Kyle notices and is going to reach over and like stop you for a second so that it doesn't rip back off the hull. So he's prevented the kind of damage that happened last time, but the weld is still incomplete. Because he has to hold the arm in place, like he can't let go with his other hand to weld. So it is like it has to be you who's doing it again.
Please.
Yeah.
I mean, crap. Because I technically have to still weld more things. So that's like, if I use this now, it's kind of stupid to use.
I mean, you can go back into the ship and rest or whatever for a bit, or you can take 10 minutes to hey, I just need to chill.
I think I need to take a 10-minute.
Right now?
I think I do. Unfortunately, I can't. Because my intellect is like at almost 0. So
okay, so how do you communicate that to Kyle? Because Kyle's like, go again, like do it again. He's pointing down at the weld line.
Maybe you can switch places.
Oh, yeah, that's what Ronan's gonna do. Ronan's gonna just switch places with Kyle, and kind of signal it, like hand him that he's just gonna put one hand on it and grab it and tell him like, I got this. You hold this for 2 seconds.
Okay. Might difficulty 5, because when he lets go, it's only you anchoring the arm into place.
Sounds good.
And then he'll finish the weld for you, which will give you 10 minutes as he finishes that weld for you to do that second recovery roll.
Gotcha. And then I'll ease with the muscles of iron again. So it's up 4.
I do want to say in my head canon, whenever somebody uses muscles of iron, I just imagine like their muscles just like
like Popeye. Like
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
6.
Oh my gosh.
I am not
A
rolling
6.
good.
Why is fixing a ship so hard?
It's almost like it's some like complex,
Piece of machinery. Yeah.
Bogus.
Kyle lets go, and you do your best to anchor the arm down. But especially with there's the tension from the one tiny spot of weld that you've done, and then there's the pressure rushing out of the ship because now it's held in that stream of pressure. It's not like you can just move it to the side and all of the force is away. It almost rips you off. You're holding onto the arm, so you don't fully fly away, but it spins all weird. And for Kyle to so he gets in place. It's held on by a bead of titanium weld, and then together the two of you just have to force it back into place where it's going. You're gonna take 2 points of might damage as it's just the muscular exertion of you trying to hold something back that simply cannot be with the amount of force that's in it, and just how that feels to your arms and your low back and whatever, as it kind of rips you off the hull. And so for a little while there, you're hands on, feet out in the void, floating there. As that happens and you and Kyle attempt to wrestle this thing back in place, this is a GM intrusion, but you don't get to refuse it, so you get 2 more XP that you can give one away. You hear a hiss and a zap as one of the wires that Zara connected tears.
No.
And sparks in the flow of atmosphere leaking from the ship sparks into a flame, and you see Zara's tether catch and burn, and she begins getting ripped out of the ship as her tether has burnt and all in the stream of atmosphere. So she's got a minute or less of oxygen as she's being pulled from the ship. You see her just clamp a hand over where the tether is to do her best to keep herself in place and save the oxygen that's in her suit, but there's nothing she can do. She's untethered and she's going to get ripped out of the ship. You have a chance here to intervene. What will you do?
I'm gonna put safety on. I think that's a moment. That's another moment back to his past. Actually, he's gonna have a quick a flashback, because back when he had his final adventure, there was no one that he wasn't able to save everybody, and that one thing that got him, and the last job he did was a very ugly job, and he was one of the only people that made it out, and he could have saved some had he acted, but he did. He chose to be selfish. But with that in mind, he's gonna go ahead and let go of the robot arm.
Okay.
I'm gonna activate an ability called Fleet of Foot.
Okay.
And take that, and so make my speed, and I'm gonna basically just boost to her. I'm gonna basically, he's gonna kind of maneuver himself where he can put his feet onto the edge of the ship towards her and push off the ship and just start heading like a dive bomb right at her.
Okay, so you jump off of the ship untethered and you catch up to her. And Fleet of Foot, we're not even going to make you roll for that. You can make that leap. You soar through void space. The effort of you pushing off increases your momentum away from the Spirit of Inquiry.
Can I do something really quick midair?
What do you want to do?
One more task. He's gonna grab, because the tether has been severed completely, right?
Right.
Midair, he's gonna catch the tether line that's been ripped.
Okay, you can either spend an XP and do that as a player intrusion to think of it in time, or you can roll for
Done.
it.
XP.
Okay, you spend an XP that when her tether breaks, you catch it before it flares off into space and shoots around. So there's still atmosphere venting out of it.
Yes.
And it's still broken. You can't reattach it for her, but you at least have that tether back to the ship.
That's what I want. Mm-hmm.
So you grab hold of her. Kyle has immediately leapt into action as well. He is anchoring himself in some, he's clipped onto a rung or something on the side of the ship, and he's pulling in on the tether to try and get her back to the surface of the ship. What are you doing?
I guess got with one hand on the tether that's on the ship, one hand on her tether. I'm gonna kind of pull him towards me as much as I can. Mm-hmm. Signal to Kyle to grab the one that's connected to the ship and start pulling on that one to slowly bring us back in.
Okay, so you're pulling on one end and he's pulling on the other, and that will ease the might task by 1. It is a difficulty 6 to do this, eased to a 5, which is a target roll of 15.
And muscles of iron, taking it to 4.
Okay.
And then I'm also gonna use some effort here as well for this. So actually I have an edge. Oh, so it's only 2. Okay.
Yeah.
We had dramatic pause.
I know.
So it's a target roll.
Does it give us all anxiety?
I don't even see it. 17.
A 17.
Oh.
You successfully are able to pull yourself back to the ship. You still have the problem that she's got no oxygen, but you have at least stopped her from like disappearing into space. And as you get back to the ship, there's a convenient hole in the hull that would lead you directly back, like because it's ripped the arm back off again. So you can kind of dive in through there. It's not pressurized. There's still no atmosphere. But if you can get her into the ship, maybe you can find some way to like, block that off. Like that problem I leave to you to solve. But there is a way into the ship here, or you can try and maneuver her back along the hull. She's probably got about 50 seconds of air left.
Yeah, there's no way we're making it across the hull. Ronan's gonna quick think and dive straight for the hole there.
Okay.
If possible, he's gonna maybe, because we still have more pieces of fabrication, right? Like it's not just the arm that we have with us. We would technically have the other piece to the other hull, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and convince Kyle or signify Kyle to grab that piece of the hull, not the arm, and put the hull piece here instead, just for the time being, so we can get a closed spot, maybe where she can start to get pressurized again, potentially.
That's a lot to say when both of your hands are full and you can't hear each other and you've got pressurized helmets on. So I'm going to need you to roll an intellect task to convey it.
Yeah, never mind.
Kyle is actively involved in the situation.
If I can.
So it might not be that hard, but for you to convey all of that to Kyle is definitely an intellect roll.
It's more like
just
pointing. That's what I mean. Like that's the only thing he can do is really just point at the piece in his hand.
You've got tethers in both hands.
Oh, I thought I would have.
Didn't you say you were holding one tether to the ship and then the tether coming off of Zara's suit?
But I thought you just said I had gotten her.
Yeah, you pulled her back to the ship.
But then that means I'm holding. Okay, yeah, I'm still holding two things. Okay, never mind. Crap. What's the intellect? What's the play? Or
Just
do you wait
roll
me to
it.
roll?
Just
I'm
roll
gonna
it,
have to roll. I was like, I don't have anything here. Oh my god, no, 5. It's a 5.
A 5.
Yeah.
You try and like nod at the hull plating or whatever. Kyle does not seem to understand what you're saying, but he is on board with getting Zara back into the ship. And as you kind of like push into the hull, he doesn't seal the hull behind you, but he pushes himself in after you and uses his own body to block her from falling out of the ship. So he's like kind of holding himself in place, almost like planking. He's holding himself in place across the opening there. So it's not pressurizing, but it's gonna catch her if she were to fly back out of the ship again. Yeah, Kyle's a bro when it comes to like lifting. That's one thing that Kyle's always had in his favor. Remember during the Cosmeridium event, he was on top of a broken coolant leak and he was just wrenching actively leaking coolant to close the valve.
True.
So you are now in the ship. The location here, you're just in front of the research bay, and the next room is the Arboretum. The ship's bulkheads have closed, like this area has been sealed because it needed repairs. But you can, there's like a keypad or something, like you can use your ID to like get them to unseal again.
Yeah.
However, if you go into the next room, it's going to temporarily depressurize the Arboretum where possibly Kiya is. We don't know if she's in there or not. You don't have that information. The other direction from you leads towards the forward viewport of the ship, which is just a big observation deck. Similarly, if you open this, it will depressurize and you don't know if anyone's in it. So you basically just got to choose which direction you go.
I love Kiya. We're gonna go straight for the observation deck.
Can you imagine
I'm not
if
risking.
I put Kiya in the observation deck? I
would
can you imagine?
hate you for this, but he's gonna go for it now. So there's no way I have any way of communicating with Sam right now, right?
Sam, you should. Yeah, Sam's been connected to you.
Oh, so I can talk to Sam. Like we can talk.
Yeah, because she's got a link into your suit.
As we're moving through, I want to talk to Sam, and I want her to see if she can get any readings on a camera feed or anything in that observation deck, and I need it ASAP. And if you can't get it to me, I'm sorry. Oh well, but it's either her life.
Sure. So you've got like 10 seconds here that you're waiting to see if Sam can find out.
Because no matter what, we're saving Zara. Like, I'm sorry, but that's the commitment.
You talk to her about that very briefly, and Sam goes, "Hold on," and you click, and the line goes dead, and then you wait for an agonizing 9 seconds, and then the line comes back on. You hear this little like uplink, and you hear her go, "Get into the observation deck. Just go. You can go."
Gone.
And in front of you, the bulkhead retracts into the ceiling. You go in there, and Victor Meridia is already in there waiting. He's got a little oxygen tank and a mask and stuff.
Good, thank goodness he's good. I was about to say, is Victor Meridia going to get sucked down?
No, he's anchored to one of the walls. He's ready to roll.
I was like, not Victor.
Peacefully looking out at space.
As he flies out.
Oh, thank goodness.
That's amazing. That needs to be a little comic.
Victor lives on to tell more stories.
Back in my day,
the ship wouldn't leak so much.
You get in there, the bulkhead seals behind you. There's a moment of like silence as Victor begins rescue work on Zara. Behind you, you realize Kyle is still, as far as we know, bridging that hole in the hull. Like, you don't know what happened to him. He's just out there somewhere because the bulkhead sealed behind you to pressurize for Zara. But then you get Sam confirms for you, like, Kyle's coming back the other way.
Okay,
He'll come back in the other
my
airlock.
first thing was going to go to Sam and run straight to a window to like look out. But I think at that point, Ronan's now, he's taken off his stuff if he's able to. And
we're going to cut forwards about 30 minutes to a very awkward conference room where Astro Adon and Ronan Voss are standing next to each other on one side of the table, and on the other side of the table, adjusting his spectacles, beard, white hair, blood red suit, is
Rose
Dean
flying around
Lagrange
him.
sitting there. Sitting there looking towards the two of you. Explain again how you managed to both suffer life-threatening incidents during your EVAs.
Real quick, out of game. Would I have been able to do my 1 action and 10-minute recovery rolls?
Yes, you would have had time for those.
Okay, I'm going to do those.
Okay.
Before this interaction.
Yeah. And because you've been in the med bay, use your 1 action roll, but the other one don't use.
To talk
you can
to
just
Dean?
like you were in the med bay, and so that'll count as one. So you can save the 10-minute roll.
Oh, okay.
So you roll twice, but
Yeah.
Dean's our friend.
I got 6 and a 4, and then plus 2. So that's 12 points back.
okay. So yeah, we're in some conference room in like the belly of the ship, like somewhere in the heart of the Spirit of Inquiry.
Okay.
It's not the compliance department, thank goodness. Nothing spookier than in there. But Dean's managed to add his own flair to the place just with the force of his personality as he looks towards the two of you.
Well, my incident came because I was trying to speed up the repairs, and I got a little too close to the welding torch and burned the visor, and it cracked.
So what I'm hearing is that there was a disregard for your safety and the well-being of the priceless equipment on board this ship. Equipment that cannot be very easily repaired or replaced without literally sending people in a dropship to mine more material.
Not a disregard.
In which way did you regard the equipment?
The other previous 12 welds I did?
This is killing me. He very, very slowly, his eyes turn over to Ronan. And you. I understand that first you failed to successfully weld something, and then our chief engineer was placed in harm's way because you failed a second time to successfully weld something. Why was the ship's cook even out there?
With all respect, I just wanted to help. And there was no one else around, and so I took it upon myself to jump in.
Have you received an EVA license?
I mean, I'm here and I went through training, didn't I? He's gonna kind of keep his past. Like, hopefully Dean, maybe Dean knows maybe does it, but he's not gonna risk that. So that's why he's not gonna be like, talk too much.
I want to make this incredibly clear to the two of you. Everybody on this ship has a role that they are meant to perform. Think of it like a lane on a highway. If you merge out of your lane into a faster one, it will become dangerous for you. Not only for the equipment on board the ship, not only for the well-being of our mission, but for your personal safety, which is very valuable to us. We don't want to put you in harm's way, unless it is a harm that you are qualified to be in the way of. And it seems clear to me that you have been behaving in ways and taking on tasks that you are not qualified for. There's a reason that everyone on this ship has a station. There's a reason that your ID badges don't get you through every single door on board the Spirit of Inquiry. And most importantly, we are on a mission of the utmost importance to the survival of our species. And you are putting that mission at jeopardy. I respect that you want to be a helpful member of the crew. But I also want you to consider that perhaps sometimes the most helpful thing you can do is nothing. That your actions could have killed someone today.
With that exact sentence, Ronan's going to kind of like look back, and that sentence hits him a little extra harder.
Seeing that he's done the damage, Dean turns back to Astro.
he definitely hit a nerve there.
Turns back to Astro. And you, someone as meticulous as you, someone with such an eye for procedure, why were you rushing a task?
I was feeling more comfortable with the task, and I thought I could not rush it, but do it quicker.
Well, now that you've attempted it, Dr. Meridia has told us that you require medical rest for a week because you were unconscious. So now, instead of getting your task done slower, you're useless to us for a week. So that's great. Dismissed. Back to your bunks, both of you. And the doors kind of seal angrily behind you on your way out. What do the two of you do? You're now standing in the hallway. You're about halfway down the ship, probably on deck 2 or 3. I'm sorry, on deck 4 or 5. You know, the crew quarters are down on deck 7 and like the very belly of the ship where there's different conference rooms and observation decks. Like, where are you going? What's happening here?
First thing that Ronan's going to do is I would imagine that it's been an awkward silence. First thing he's going to Astro, have you ever held a gun before?
I do own one, and I've held them, and I've shot them in training, but I've never used them in a...
Good. We're going to go blow off some steam. Let's go. We're going to head down to the shooting range.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm going to take him to the shooting range, and naturally I have my 5-shot ready to go, and there's some reserve ammo that I would have brought with me.
Can I just interject that after I get out of an HR talk where we just both got chewed out, we're unsure.
For your disregard for safety.
Clearly, yeah. We can't lose our jobs, but like it could be a lot worse. We just got chewed out, and the first thing you do in the dead silence of the awkward pauses, you both step out is like, you ever used a gun before? You're like, what? Where's this going? Are you a threat or?
But yeah, he's gonna, and before Astro could probably even answer, Ronan's gonna kind of like just start walking.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would imagine the shooting range has some weaponry already set up down there that we could probably use.
There's a small armory in there of like recreational guns.
Okay, good. That was my thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Are you going to?
Astro will follow.
Okay. We're gonna skip that scene for the moment.
Understand.
You can kind of decide if you want to play that out or not when we come back to you. I'm gonna jump back to the dropship. We can also skip past that scene if you want, and we can just, hey, I've had a chance to think. Now I'm back in my room, or wherever you want to pick up. I'll let you guys decide where we pick up with your characters.
I do want to say, like, we're gonna have to work on your HR talk. All right, there's certain language, certain words you're not supposed to use. Okay, during HR talks like this.
It's exactly like, I think it was actually excellent roleplay for Astro though. If, like, he's been around forever. He doesn't care. Take an XP for like that top tier roleplay.
Definitely gonna need JAQLINE to coach you through these HR talks.
Yeah, JAQLINE, who is perfectly functioning and has no naivete baked into her being.
Yeah,
I think Astro did a good job of balancing that.
I think you're right. We cut back to the dropship. Mark, Putty, you have been working your way through files. You're in the Spirit of Inquiry's research node, and actually you're kind of surprised that you haven't run into any kind of snooping from Dean Lagrange. He must be busy doing something else at the moment, luckily.
Getting some angsty boys ready to punch some drywall.
Yeah, giving
Can't tell me what to do.
Stupid. But because of that, you have fairly unfettered access to the ship's records. You find some things that are firewalled level 10. You're like, there's no way I'm going to get through that. But you find some other opportunities that are like, oh, these are, okay, this kind of lines up with what we're seeing. And you're looking for specifically material properties, right? So as you're browsing through files, you find 3 different entries where something could have visibly different properties to what's happening normally. One of them is there is such a thing as a cosmic mirage. It works just like it does in the desert, except it's the different radiation that's getting in the way that is refracting the visible spectrum of light. And so it can look different depending on how far away you are. And so that's a possibility that could be screwing, that's in like a diagnostics log for like a sensor array or something that you kind of find. There's also an entry on cosmetoline. Cosmetoline is a material that appears different to everyone who sees it. Nobody knows why that anomaly exists, but it's something that like we don't know. It's just like this. That's the science of it. The scientific word for it is for undetermined cause. This is how they've written about it in the scientific periodical. Cosmetoline also has a warning underneath of it that it's been known in its raw form to damage artificial intelligence units if their cortex specifically gets too close to it.
I'm telling you, Saren, if you just get closer, I'm sure I can analyze
I'm not
something
getting closer
about
to
it.
anything until we have a better understanding of what we're looking at. Anything that defies the readings on a sensor array is not good to go towards.
I think it just defies the fact that our health professionals say that you're healthy, and I clearly are not, because only one other person saw the color green.
According to my records, your ship's doctor never submitted your health report. You wouldn't
Batteries
know
ran
that yet. But yeah, so that argument is happening you're reading like damage AI units in the background. You hear this argument between Jackie and Sarah taking place. And then there's a third entry in there as well, which is that sometimes if the calibration of the sensor array itself is off, what you see like through the viewport of the ship that's being reconstructed, things that are not visible are moved into visible light by a sensor array. And sometimes it doesn't know, and so it just like flicks through them really fast, and maybe some people are seeing the wrong color or whatever. You don't think that glitch is what's happening here.
So it sounds pretty likely that this is cosmetoline.
It sounds reasonably likely, or that it's some kind of cosmic mirage.
I think we could solve that by opening the door and poking it
With Jackie.
with Jackie.
Don't tell me about it.
Yep.
Talk to your ship's crew.
Everyone, I believe I found some things that I think we very well, I can't say for sure, but
Excellent.
I think it's very likely we were looking at a small source of cosmetoline.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
That would make sense. It is corrupted in my database.
So I think we try and go get it. The only other things I can see is it's a possible mirage, or that it's the view, the something while we're looking through the sensor array, which I think both of those can be solved by having someone go out and trying to touch it.
Did you say get the EVA gear back on? Ren is like, ready?
Yes, sir.
Can I go with whoever's going to go touch it?
No.
Are you sure there's an open data port on my EVA suit?
It's from what I saw, the warning that maybe was corrupted, that Jackie couldn't access, is that it may damage an AI if they get too close.
Well, how close is too close? Can we safely load it into the dropship or not?
Can I in dropship?
What did you say? Can you dropship?
Can I in dropship?
Are you okay?
No.
Is your speech centers? Are you getting a little bug?
Sorry. Analyzing. I'm doing better now.
How good's that bag? Your kind of grab-all bag? How confident
the
do you
carry-all?
think the kind of radiation shielding do you think that has on it?
That's an interesting question. That wasn't written on the manufacturer's label, how good it is at radiation shielding.
I just feel you might want to know what you didn't know this. I don't want to be a
I can
jerk, but you
analyze
didn't
it
know
for
this
you. I would just need a small sample
of the bag.
of the bag. Well, actually, it doesn't have to be a physical sample.
He points over his shoulder at like the floating cube. It's like a metal box with like a lid on it, you know?
Oh, show me, and I might be able to discern what model it is.
Can we scan it?
Sure.
I'm going to use lab analysis.
Okay. Before you use lab analysis, if we're using the sensor array, we gotta roll a d10.
Well, I'm just using it on
Don't
the
worry.
box.
Oh, okay.
So I'm
I'll get it
actually probably analyzing the box for model number,
I see.
serial number. It
Okay.
specifically says as long as I have like a photo or piece or sample.
Well, you certainly have a sample because you have the thing.
Exactly. Then I could learn something.
I like the idea that because you're not jacked
Surprising.
into the dropship, you're just part of Mark's suit. You're like making Mark do like the
Yeah.
panoramic walk
No,
where he
get-
like has to take a step to the right and then it like adds to the image that you scan.
No, you missed a spot. No, you need to step back a step.
Okay.
No, all
Yep.
right. You're
So
out of
this way.
focus now.
That way?
Okay, there you go. Yes, now
Thank you.
do a 360
Yep.
and,
Okay.
and shake it all about.
Do you
okay,
see
never
that,
mind. That was unrelated.
JAQLINE. I do also have a scan ability if it is necessary.
Let me try this.
Your thing.
3, and then it takes. This is going to take some time. So why don't you do your thing as well? This is going to take 17 plus 18 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna scan it.
Okay.
I've got. You
I'll be working on this in the
I think that's
background.
35.
can scan an area equal in size to a 10-foot, 3-meter cube, including all objects or creatures within that area. The area must be within a short range. Scanning a creature or object always reveals its level. You also learn whatever facts the GM feels are pertinent about the device or matter, energy level in that area.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to do that. That's just
Great.
2 intellect points.
Nice.
So I give this puppy a scan.
Okay, so you scan the object. It is a level 3 carryall. It has a depletion die of d20, so it's pretty well built. You know, the odds are pretty low that it would break while being used or while loading something into it. It just as a quick reminder of how it works, it essentially follows along a belt pack. So you wear like a little beacon and then it follows that person. You can tell it to stay or follow you, and it has a range of a mile if you're going to walk away from it. In terms of radiation shielding, which is what you're really looking at it for, it has radiation shielding effective against objects of its level or lower. So a level 3 or lower object, it would have effective radiation shielding against. However, we don't know the level of cosmetaline. We are confident that it's higher than 3. Raw cosmetaline is simply volatile and complicated enough that it's not going to be a simple object. So if you were going to try and bring the levels into the vernacular, there's probably class of object, like, you know, class C, controlled substance or whatever. Like, it's probably like a class something.
S plus.
Right, and this is like not class 3. This would be higher than a class 3.
Okie dokie. It likely won't shield. There is, I mean, does it look like it's gonna be moving out of this area anytime soon? Can we just like drop jack you off if we want to be super safe about it and have someone else come back and get it?
It does seem like, I mean, it's not stationary, but it's, you know, the whole asteroid field is moving as a unit. So
Okay.
it should be hypothetically possible.
Anyone else on the ship? Do we think it's especially important to grab this right now, or do we just make a mark of it and come back for it a little later? Because I would really rather not damage our AI once
Expected to
again.
be out here for years.
Okay. Just don't.
If we have the material here. But do we even have another backup cortex?
No. I don't think so. Unless I've got.
That's worrying.
I do have a. We had like the 2-copy thing, right?
don't-
There's like a.
I
There's
don't
like
know
the,
if we can make the jump back without JAQLINE. That's like Saren chiming in. All of the calculations for our jump were done. I mean, you did the redundant calculations, but in the jump, all the adjustments for stuff we ran into and all those kind of like, I don't know that without JAQLINE we can make a jump back like that.
I am much
the
better than humans.
To the ship, you mean, or to where?
I believe
the
we're
solar
referring
system, to the Milky Way.
home.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Can we drop Jackie off or like get another thing that we could come back with a
That's what the group is trying to decide.
Yeah.
Adelaide thinks that the fact that we've discovered something that we thought would take us years, decades, or forever means we should bring it in now no matter the risk. And I'm saying that, but even like the point of our mission is to bring that stuff back to other humans. And I don't believe that we can make the return journey without JAQLINE.
Yeah.
We all know you're biased because you're tutoring JAQLINE. So Ren, cast the deciding vote. And Ren is like, kind of fiddles with his little stone necklace.
No pressure, but I will remember your answer.
Maybe not for long. If we wipe you with a weird cosmeddling thing. But luckily for you,
Oh, that's true.
I'm actually on your side. I think that it's probably more valuable to drop Jackie off and try and come. Even if this one disappears or we lose it, we know now that it's possible to find out here, and that may be enough of a discovery for the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I might add to that, we could just leave some sort of beacon and match it so that way it's following the same trajectory and we continue on our mission, because right now I believe we're more pressed on making sure we survive.
Interesting. Saren kind of looks back. Anybody have a beacon? Or is anybody good at, like, I don't know, can anyone kind of rewire something on the ship to behave like a beacon? Do we have anyone who has that
Maybe
skill?
somebody repurpose something from its unintended effect and make it a new effect?
Pretty out there. Yeah, I mean, I could probably like tinker something together.
Okay.
And if someone else can help with the calculations of shooting it out to match the trajectory, I think that's a great idea.
This seems like a great practice run for JAQLINE. That's Saren. You're going to need to calculate a lot of trajectories for us. That's one of your primary functions.
I am pretty good at that.
All right, well, do it.
Okay. Calculating.
You roll your intellect task to calculate the trajectory. The better you roll, the easier it'll be to find next time. So that's just how accurate you are, but you can't fail. Like, it's going to get launched no matter what. Do you need to make a roll when you tinker, or do you just spend the points and
It's
it
just
happens?
to spend one little intellect point.
Spend one little intellect point and it happens. You take the ship is using point-to-point communication to talk back to the Spirit of Inquiry. You take that point-to-point comms offline in order to make a beacon. So now instead of communicating back and forth, it can't receive anymore. It's like a pulse, like geocaching, where it's like it just sends out a little pulse that you can check into. And so we'll just try and leave that here, and then you can lock onto it when the communications array gets fixed, if anyone on the ship knows how to weld.
Yeah.
I might ask Saren Peters to just, if she has the log data for how we got here, to help maybe figure out, like, oh, what are we moving in relation to the ship?
It'll be in the ship's logs. So when we get back to the Spirit of Inquiry, we can download all that stuff.
Well, I'm going to use that to help calculate.
Yeah, just jack right into the dropship. You can get that stuff.
Okay. Would that count as an asset?
You need to be jacked into the ship. That's a Mark thing.
Mark, can you plug me into the ship?
Yeah, just a second. I want to throw out one crazy idea before we get out of here. I think there's a good chance it's going to be here. Something about me feels like some sort of cosmic intrusion is going to make it go away. But Ren, I want to pitch to you, if you really like going out there, right? You like doing that stuff?
I do. I love doing that
Okay,
stuff.
how long is the connection cord for the oxygen? You jumped all the way down to the
You mean the
asteroid
tether?
before the tether. The tether.
To my suit? Or
Yeah.
to... not long enough for you to get back to the Inquiry.
No, but could we open up the back of this? You get out there, slap it in the bag, and we just haul both you and the cosmeddling back slowly and safely, and then I get Jackie inside into a safe distance. Then you guys can come in and load it in.
Saren steps in. I'm going to veto that immediately.
Come on.
You realize that what you would essentially be doing is adding momentum to him with no redundant point of connection to the ship. So if that tether broke, he'd just keep going. We couldn't turn the ship around
We
in
got
time
multiple
to catch him.
tethers. Like
Not the suit's only got one tether point on it.
there's got to be rope in here. We don't
It's
got
not-
a space rope.
It's not. Space rope is just rope.
Could be. Can I tinker our little
No.
bridge thing to be like a net?
No.
Come on. What am I got? I'll give you 10 XP.
Jesus, 10?
When did you get 10 XP?
I got a lot from the.
Somebody's gonna level up soon.
Yeah.
All right, fine. We'll play it safe.
All right.
As I understand it, Adelaide leans in towards you. You've got plans tonight.
Yeah.
Saren was referring
I
to
was-
the www.
W.
Stop.
No W's in it.
Emily.
Sorry, my language processing model.
Yeah, sorry. I was too engrossed in work and the beauty of space and trying to have fun that I forgot about my fight. Yeah, okay.
Seemed pretty heated yesterday.
But yeah, I'm mad. I just remember the conversation with Kyle being like, do we pretend to still be upset? Ugh.
You sound like that scene
That
where
guy.
the Hulk is pretending to be
Yeah.
engaged. He's just like, it feels gratuitous.
Mark, I thought you and Kyle came to terms.
But Jackie, we're gonna.
Terms as Jackie realizes.
Saren turns around in her chair. Did you have an issue with Kyle?
I start sweating and you start seeing me pull up in my helmet. Everything's fine.
Is it funnier if we cut from here back to the ship and don't see the rest of the scene, or is it funnier if we play the scene out? Your choice.
I think we cut away.
Okay, we cut from here.
Should I at least make that roll?
Yeah, make your roll.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Make sure we get our little thing.
I
all
did use
set
one
out.
level of effort.
So add 3.
So 16.
Okay, 16's really good. That's a better
You
than
should
a
be
level
able to
5.
find it.
Okay, so you leave a little beacon behind, and then your dropship kind of soars off back towards the Spirit of Inquiry.
Did we want to continue, or the idea was to drop me off immediately and then go back for it?
I think that if you go back to the Spirit of Inquiry, it's going to wait until the next day. That's why we put the beacon there, because
Okay.
it's getting towards the evening. You've been out here all day.
All we got was ice.
No, we're going to say that there's been some stuff in
Okay.
between. These are
Okay.
just like we're zooming in on the big moments. So you've got some other materials and stuff in the carry-all. And as you get back, you were told that there would be robot arms ready to dock you, but when you get back, you don't see any robot arms. And Saren's like, I have to do everything myself. And she like brings the ship into a very controlled landing, even though it's like a precision place to put it in the hull of the Spirit
Very
of Inquiry.
impressive.
And then the airlock door closes behind you, and we find you back inside the Spirit of Inquiry. Having reached the evening, I would like you all to decide: are we cutting straight to the fight, or are we picking up with you two?
Us too.
We're picking up with you two in the firing range or after?
So I want to play out the fire
Fire
range a little bit.
In the firing range. Excellent.
LeBron.
So let's jump down to the firing range. Let's find maybe this one. Here you are. The firing range is on deck 7, the lowest deck of the Spirit of Inquiry, and the whole way aft. So above you are the main reactor, like the big thrusters, which are not active right now, so you don't hear anything. But the ion engines, occasionally you get like a little pulse out of them as they stabilize the ship, just kind of holding it in place in every axis. The firing range is empty besides the two of you. Not that it's never been used, but right now it's not a particularly popular spot during the workday. And so you can just kind of hear the noises of the ship, kind of creaking a little bit around you. As you walk there, you do pass through the holodeck on your way there. And as you pass through the holodeck, you see that Zara Lowe has gone in there, and she's got big holographic projections of the parts that you were working on today in front of her, and she's trying to rewire them and make, change the system a little bit. So she's just like deep inside a design, like looking, she's blown it up to like 7,000x, and she's like inside looking at where the rivets go and is there a way to make this attach better and whatever. So she kind of like gives you a nod as you walk through, both of you. And she says, hope it wasn't too bad.
No.
Okay. And then she gets back to what she's clearly distracted. Like she's trying to be respectful to you, but she's working. You step through the last door, and as the door closes behind you, the room has a sensor in it to detect when people are there, and some lights kind of zoom, 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 power on down the length of the range. A few different targets, target sheets kind of retract out of the floor. And then you've got next to you, there's a selection of essentially like recreational weapons. So there's like disc rifles and, like that kind of stuff. and they're just different sizes, lengths, whatever. There's no specific. It's not like there's brand names, and they're obviously not like they're not really meant for like person to person combat.
Yeah.
So they're all kind of loaded with like more than BBs, less than buckshot. You know what I mean? Like somewhere in the middle of that. Take it away.
Yeah, I guess Ronan. First thing Ronan's gonna do is just walk straight to and pick up one of the or no, sorry, I would say pick a slot. That's where I'm like that's where he's walking. He's not gonna say much right off the bat, but I think Ronan will definitely after setting up and finding his spot, he's gonna look over at Astro and kind of he's gonna look over at Astro and are you used to using any of these, or do you find one to have a favorite?
Astro, before, like, as Ronan's looking through his section too, Astro's gonna pick up probably like the smaller, like a small handgun equivalent. I'm not really used to, but I've done the training for every single ship that I've been on. There's usually ammunition and firearm training, but I've never really used them in the field very much, and they're fine.
Hopefully you never need to. You just trust me, it's not something you want to do. But this is where I usually come if I'm ever needing to blow steam. And as you can see, not many people come down here often. But then again, I don't know how everyone is with firearms. So, but they're very, very, I'm very comfortable with them. So this is where I come to blow off that steam. And also, I guess you could say I'm honing skills as well. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
But I should ask, when you're not on a ship, what do you do?
Spend time with my wife, really. I've been on ships for so long now. The last few have been nice because they were short endeavors or within the system, so we often stopped by and I could spend time with her and just relax, I guess.
Are you hoping to get out of this? Are you like, didn't you say this was your last journey?
I'm hoping this is my last journey.
Well, I do hope that we make it back so that you can have a successful sit
I
down.
Settle down, maybe get kids.
Ronan's gonna just look away real quick and not really, because love has never been in his like I guess plan book. I don't know, playbook. He always lived the life of just like an outlaw.
Yeah.
So he's gonna kind of sit back, and even though hasn't been asked, like Ronan will just kind of like, I guess, mention, and he's gonna say, "It's really nice that you have something to go back to."
Do you not?
I have a restaurant and I guess a sous chef, but nothing that's really of value. Everything of value is right here, and
No
you kind
family?
of just. No, the family and I never really got along.
I don't know that.
Lost an older brother at a young age, and made me kind of spiral out of control, I guess you could say. I left my family behind. I joined, let's just say, not the best crew, and we did a lot of horrible things, and I just left everything behind. So. Once I tried to visit. I did try to go back after it all, but it was a little too late at that point. People had already passed by or passed and kind of went on their merry way, so there really was nothing for me to come back to. So I'm hoping...
Come start a restaurant on our moon. Food is quite lacking there.
I just might. I'm always looking to expand. But no, that's the reason why I feel like I'm here, is I wasn't supposed to be here. And I think there's a reasoning for me being on this ship, and maybe I can make something to come back to. And I guess that's my hope. But man, does like working under that guy Dean like make this so much harder. And he's gonna take a aim and take his first shot at target.
Astro will follow, and then between shots, I'll say, you get used to working with people like that. They're on every ship. They're everywhere. It's just part of the job, really.
Yes, I guess I could never say I worked under anyone. It's more that I had people work under me. So subordination is very, very, it is just not my thing, as you can tell. I like to fight back, but I'm learning and teaching myself not to, because I know it's for the greater good. And I want to try and do some good for once, because I feel like all I've ever done is the opposite.
Your cooking is very good.
Well, another reason why I cook. I've always loved to cook, but it's never been a focus until I needed something different in life, and that's all I had was my cooking skills.
That makes sense.
Yep. But I think Ronan's gonna at this point kind of just polish his pistol off. He only needed to go take a couple shots, but I feel
How'd
like
he do? Like, how was his aim? Did he start out sloppy because he was upset, or is it all precision?
Yeah, all precision.
Precision
How'd Astro
all
do?
the time. Astro's is probably like a spread within the target.
Okay, so he's hitting the target, but he's not like
No.
peak. Okay.
A week seems too long, though. I need to go talk to Victor.
I'm gonna be honest. Like you won't need a week. Victor he's just doing what the protocol says. I think you'll be okay. You seem okay. I think if you can hold the gun without falling over and getting dizzy, I think you'll be fine.
I can at least do my normal like inventory. Maybe no EVA walks for a bit, but I can do my normal responsibilities.
I don't think either of us are going back out on the AVA anytime soon, even if we want to.
I'm gonna work on training it because I think it's a needed role, but
Yeah, I'm
not
just gonna
right now.
stay out of Dean's way as much as I can.
I'll build up the skills, and then when I'm properly ready.
That feels about right.
Get certified.
Forklift certified. But yeah, I guess with that, Ronan's gonna put his pistol down, maybe start cleaning it off a little bit, and I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready to head out if you are, unless you'd like to stay. Don't let me stop you.
I'm gonna go find Victor.
Sounds good. And then Ronan's gonna go ahead and head back to the kitchen. Then there we go, and start I guess cleaning and getting ready for dinner. That's right, we're getting ready for dinner.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So you head out towards the kitchen and get ready for dinner. You head out back to your room?
Find Victor.
Oh, to find Victor. Great. So you're heading towards the med bay, and we'll follow you to the med bay here in a second. Each of you take an XP for a fun little scene and for diving into your characters' backstories and motivations a little bit. I love that. I also like that here in this scene, we saw the full spectrum of how people respond to criticism. We saw someone who's like, I'm never going near that guy again. It was someone who's like, I'm going to learn the things that I like. We saw the full spectrum of the human experience with critique. And that's great. I love that. But now we're going to follow Astro to the med bay. Astro, you head to the central elevator of the ship. It's just much faster than taking the stairs for this. You go up, I believe, 3 decks. It might be 4. And then you head towards the aft of the ship again. The med bay of the ship is directly beneath all the life support stuff. So there's almost like a half attic where it's like a crawl space of automated systems with some readouts on the walls. And then the med bay is like the actual, room space here that's beneath that. And as you walk in, Victor Meridia is reclining in the corner on a chair. He's got a clipboard in front of him, and he's just kind of going. It looks like he's doing some kind of generic paperwork type stuff.
Yeah.
As he's sitting there, you come in. Hello again. Are you okay? Is there more complications?
No, I was asking if I'd not be out a week. I think I can perform my normal duties on the ship and maybe just not do the spacewalks.
Oh, well, we're definitely not doing spacewalks with the incident that you had today. We're going to take a long time off of those.
Yes.
But the thing is, there's a really specific protocol for how we deal with particular kinds of incidents. And one of them is falling unconscious on the job. Anytime that you exert yourself to the level that you fall unconscious, we bake in a week off. This is not the kind of job where we're trying to kill you while you're out here working. Your longevity is our longevity. Because if we lose you, we just don't have a supply officer. You know what I mean? Sam could try and print you one, but it wouldn't work that way. So mostly, my interest is your well-being, and I think that a week of rest is what's necessary. Back on the other ships I've been on, I've seen a lot of opportunities where people will just try and work through an issue like that, and then you wind up with all kinds of stuff. You wind up with crew burning out. Sometimes you wind up with people making sloppy decisions because they're exhausted. So there's all kinds of complications. Plus, we don't know that there are no complications from the time you fell unconscious. This other ship that I worked on, we had somebody who passed out on the job. We thought it was a simple unconsciousing, and that's the medical term. And they were like, no, I'm good. Send me back to work. And they got up and went back to work. And what happened is nobody realized that they were having a more severe medical episode. And later that person died just because they didn't didn't like take the time off and get the proper screening. So with you, what we're going to do is take a week off, and we'll have you back in here every day for a quick little workup just to make sure that all your signs are normal, all your conditions are fine, and then we'll get you back to work.
But like inventory is not that stressful.
It's also not that fluid. Like, it probably won't change very much while you're out.
So then what's the point in me working a little bit? What's the harm?
Oh, the harm is that if you're working, you're not resting.
What if work is rest?
I'm not trying to debate philosophy with you. I am your medical officer. I've been on shifts before. Let me tell you about this other ship I was on where people didn't listen to my instructions. This one's not going to be like that, okay? We're here because I'm the best. And I think that what is necessary is for you to take this week off of working. Kick back. Relax a little bit. All of your value doesn't come from you doing things. You matter just because you're here.
What?
You understand that, like, your value isn't determined by your output, right?
I'm here to work.
Maybe if you ask Dean,
No, not.
You're here because you're part of the team.
Yes, to work.
Damn.
That is what you're here to do with the team, and I understand that. But it's not. That's not a healthy attitude. Have you always felt have you ever rested?
Between jobs?
When was the last time you took a day off?
Between jobs.
How long does a job normally last for you? Is it like a gig thing where like you work for a day and then you take a day off?
Months, and then like a month, like, months work, and then like maybe a month or two off while I find more work.
I like how he's not relaxing for the month or two. He's looking for another job.
Astro,
Yes.
that's not healthy.
It's what's needed.
It's not.
God.
That's life.
No, life happens around your job, Astro. You do your job to fund your life. I've got your medical. He pulls out his clipboard. You have like a wife. How often do you see her?
Between jobs.
How are you still married, man?
She's a very lovely woman.
I'm sure she is. That's not the point. I was on this other ship, and we had someone who had a similar attitude, and he was divorced before the end of the deployment. You have to take time to restore yourself.
I call her when I'm on ships, usually. We talk a lot.
So do you do that while you're working?
Like, at night before, like, between shift hours.
After staring at my goldfish.
How tightly do you stop at the end of your shift? Do you put in overtime?
Not usually.
Okay, that's good. That's a good starting point. He checks off a box. It's like we have one pro on the list here. Astro, I need you to rest. You may be on this deployment for years.
Yeah.
Yes. So what I need you to do is take the week of bed rest. And do, in fact, you know what? I'm making a medical override here, and you see that your badge is revoked from access to the engineering department. No. It says, for the next week, you are revoked from accessing your workspace. You may access the recreational facilities of this ship. You may access your bunk room. You may access the observation decks and the mess hall.
What if someone needs me?
If someone needs you, they can come to me, and we can decide if the problem is significant enough that it warrants interrupting your first ever rest. I
guess I don't have a choice here, but...
As you're saying that, the door opens up, And Dragomir Hunt, the chief researcher, walks into the room and says, you asked to see me we had to redo the workup? He said, yeah, of course. Sorry, I have an appointment. You can come back and see me another time if you want to, and we can talk about this more, but my decision is final. And Dragomir looks at you and goes, kind of like shrugs and like walks into the back.
So Astro just like turns away and like walks. He's just like stunned. No one's ever told him this.
No one's ever said go on break.
His wife has never told him to rest.
Take time.
She
Take
has,
10.
but you know,
What? Okay, so what's he doing?
Having a panic attack.
he's just he walks like slowly, head down, and as he's contemplating this new concept of taking breaks, and wondering what life is outside of work. As he goes back to his room, and he walks in, lays on the bed, and like lays on his side, and he just like staring at his goldfish, and he's like, Simon, what is life, man? Is it not work?
God.
Is it not work? Is there more to life than a paycheck?
Simon the goldfish floats oddly still, looking back at like making eye contact and just like looking at you, kind of bobbing up and down in the water.
I guess we'll have a lot of time together over this week, buddy. As he sprinkles some food in, and then
Simon starts eating.
And he's probably gonna try and sleep. I don't know if he will get sleep, but he's gonna try.
Okay. You go to sleep, and we're gonna pick back up with the dropship. You've now docked, and you're back inside. So everyone is kind of like stowing the EVA gear and the suits and stuff. And you're moving deeper into the ship. Where's Mark going upon arrival at the ship? It's probably around dinner time, so I could see a case for the mess hall, or if there's something else you needed to do before dinner.
I think he might go to his room real quick and just kind of debrief with Jackie for a hot sec.
Okay.
So, are you telling me that it's okay sometimes to follow safety procedures, but not all the time?
Jackie, I mean, I thought we had organized this out. Like I'll at least say this: if there is a warning of something happening, like there's an unknown danger, I don't think the best course of action is to leap into it and see what happens.
Isn't that part of the human spirit? To go where no other person has gone before, to inquire on the impossibleness that we are resetting.
God, Jackie, you get me every time. I just try and teach you a little lesson, and you just give me something else to think about for another day.
So, am I correct?
That is a part of the human experience, yes, but we also need to exhibit caution. That there's calculated risks. It's you need to sometimes go and do things that are risky, but I mean, in my experience, that's like the last resort. Is you want to make sure that
you humans are paradoxical.
Amen, sister. Anywho, I just want to ask, do you think there's any risk of that cosmetic? I mean, that's crazy that that's just sitting out there, right?
I mean, my predecessor did make the mathematical analysis that this was probably the best location to find cosmetaline. So me personally, I'm not surprised that my predecessor, who is probably similar to me in being perfect, found the cosmetaline almost immediately.
I guess so. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just.
So to be fair, I was kind of hoping for more.
Yeah. We'll have to. Well, if there's any chance that the little beacon can somehow try and.
You made sure to put that into your debriefing for the ship, right?
What's that? The beacon?
One of us had to put down that there was a beacon left for possible cosmetaline pickup.
I should have put that in a report.
We can work on it now.
I don't want to do a report right now.
I've already generated one.
Okay. Thank you, Jackie.
Following my language model, which has no flaws.
With it, no, you're going to have to read that to me right now.
She does.
See? According to this, the ship's crew, Saren Peters,
Yep.
Ren Silvers,
Yep.
Adeline MacArthur,
Yep.
and Mark Putty,
Yep.
and JAQLINE have discovered cosmetoline outside of quadrant 2.6 -3.
Do you think, I know you're not as familiar, do you think there's any risk of Lagrange seeing this and something happening? Should we maybe not submit this? Oh God, we're getting into breaking protocols again.
I think Dean Lagrange will, following psychological profiles, Dean Lagrange will probably be upset no matter what we do. So we should try to cover ourselves the best we can by making the best effort to inform. You seem stressed out.
Yeah.
Should I order your fish to blow on you?
What? Yeah, please.
Gene, start blowing.
Thank you, Gene. Yeah, can we just, can you set with a little bit of an alert to go off just in case that sensor tracks any sort of abnormal activity near the...
Well, it's just meant to give out tracking information. I'm not sure if it has any sensory. Did you add sensory to it?
No.
Can I put an XP to say yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Good use of an XP.
I'm going to spend an XP to try.
Oh, I didn't know you added that. That must be why it gave weird data and I tracked it as -3.
Yeah, that's a lot of negatives. Negative.
Recalibrating.
Negative.
Report regenerated.
It's just 3 is
Just
the
3.
number.
The new coordinates are now 23.4.
Yeah, just set up an alert anytime that something goes near
Sure.
that doesn't seem like it should be coming there.
Alert, color has changed. Alert, color has changed.
Thank you.
Alert, color has
Thank
changed.
you. More of a physical thing.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay. Sorry, I just needed to chat about that. We're going to keep hammering out what's right and wrong because that's kind of a never-ending battle. I
do see that in some historical texts that I have access to. That is something that your species goes through quite often.
We don't often get it right, but yeah, it's a tricky thing to nail down.
Interesting. Noted.
Yeah.
I have submitted the report.
Thank you. How are you?
Has anybody asked me that before? How am I? Well, my language model seems to be a little corrupted. I'm learning a lot.
Are you?
And I like having friends.
Yeah?
Yes.
You're enjoying yourself?
I would say that on a rated scale of 0 to 10, I am enjoying myself 10 out of 10. Every day is new. So far, that's only been 2. But it's still new.
That's a beautiful view on the world, too.
I am struggling to learn these paradoxical natures that I keep running up against, but one day I'm sure I will master it.
Yeah, it's going to take a while. I don't think 2 days is enough, but
Maybe
Looking down
5.
at your data pad, you recognize that it's like getting towards time for dinner, and then after that, obviously,
Yep.
MME.
Yep. Yeah, let's get down to the mess hall. I just wanted to chat for a second. I really wish
May
we
I come
could've-
with?
Of course. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, come along. I really wanted to tow Ren.
Tell Ren?
I really wanted to tow Ren behind the ship and just.
Oh, that would have been an interesting data.
I think. See, now that's a risk. I wanted to see.
So
but
that's okay.
It's okay is relative. It's what you're willing.
So I have
to
to
do-
somehow do some sort of algorithmic math on determining the outcome of how much I would enjoy learning new data versus the safety of the crew.
let's go get dinner. Well, you keep breaking my brain, Jackie,
Okay.
in good ways.
I'm sorry.
No.
Do we need to see the doctor?
But we're gonna go eat food, and I think it'll make it better. And then I've got to have a.
I have to
Play video
reiterate,
games.
I don't eat food, but you can eat food.
Let's go to the mess hall, Jackie.
And on that note, this episode of the Wing Badger Tavern comes to a close as we close